I mean, it's really sad how many times, like, I've had front row seat to really gifted leaders
Yeah.
who just sabotage
Yeah.
their own effectiveness
Yeah.
and the trust that they could have.
Yeah.
That even their talents and their skills and abilities would kind of help them cultivate, because people like that. They're like, oh, he's good at that. I can trust that.
No matter how gifted you are in the pulpit, I think Kirk was talking about this, or any of those qualifiers that seem to say we're successful. If we're really poor at interpersonal relationships and we have no understanding of the quality or characteristics to build safe and healthy team cultures, there's something lacking.
So we've been talking the last few conversations about emotional intelligence. And I don't know about you guys, but it's stunning to me how emotionally unwell many church and ministry contexts are. You had that quote yesterday from Scazzaro. Do you remember it?
Yeah. You can know a lot about the Bible and be a lousy human being.
A lousy human being.
And still be a lousy human being.
Yeah, and it just seems to me like you can be used by God
Yeah.
in beneficial ways and be a fairly horrible human being while you're doing it.
Yeah.
Particularly, I would say, the inside baseball, on the staff, on the elder board, like that. It's rare that it comes up on the platform. It's rare that it leaks out into the, into the service.
Right.
But the number of, or the propensity for staffs to mutually mistreat one another is really heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Really heartbreaking. And guys, in a context where, as we have today, where the church attendance is shrinking, giving is down, society is turning her collective back on our Christian faith, and not just turning her back, but then turning her anger
Yeah.
at us and our Lord and all that. It's a challenging enough time.
Yeah.
If we had one another's backs completely, if we operated with really clear, emotional intelligence and kindness, support, love, encouragement, it would make it a bit less arduous.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we want to try to tell some stories or describe what we mean by unintentional mutual mistreatment. I get that what that language says to me is that when I'm lacking EQ, emotional intelligence, I'm susceptible to my own emissions of ill health, of emotional immaturity, of turfism, and other maladies that are common when you get people together.
Yeah.
And so we wanted to just see what stories live in us where we've seen that done at a high cost relationally. The one that comes to my mind is the classic one where there's turf wars among staff members.
Yeah.
There's repeated, habitual, almost predictable low EQ, probably as a result of hurt, miscommunication, apathy, or what I often hear is, well, that's not my area of ministry. So, in other words, I don't have to care about you, and you don't have to care about me. And so it kind of puts us in opposition instead of working intentionally to create or cultivate environments where, what if it did matter? And what if we did practice better skills? Where this is a competency conversation. What if I could create better skills in myself and invite other people to emit something different than this problematic, selfish attitudes and actions that hurt and disrupt?
Yeah.
I think one of the things that feeds this is a and it's kind of one of my hobby horses, but I always say churches have forgotten what business they're in. And we think we're in the business of designing and emceeing events. We're event planners and event producers. And the event is the prayer meeting. The event is the worship celebration. The event is the Sunday morning service, right? The event is the women's tea, the Christmas cantata, the this, the that.
Yeah.
And
I haven't heard that word in a long time.
Get ready.
Wait till you're in your 60s.
Christmas is coming.
All kinds of antiquated terms
on the
just
way.
come rolling off your tongue.
Christmas cantata.
Yeah. Shaving cream. Telephone booth.
And ice cream, the troughs. Remember the old ice cream?
Oh my gosh.
Speaking
The
of
Feral
antiquated,
Neapolitan.
Neapolitan.
Does anyone do that
Neapolitan ice
anymore?
cream.
the worst ice
Neapolitan
cream.
ice
The
cream.
worst
Call
ice
me
cream
crazy,
you
but
can
I
buy.
like Neapolitan ice
It's
cream.
because it's the cheapest ice cream
Oh
you can
my
get.
gosh.
I just learned, fun fact, it's the second most sold ice cream in the country.
Wow, you know what I used to
Neapolitan?
do? I'd close my eyes and I'd scrape across it.
Yeah.
To see if I could tell what color I was. Because it all tastes exactly the same.
Then about
vanilla
5
story.
minutes in, it just all melted.
Oh, yeah.
It's
You
horrible.
have
All
a
right.
vanilla
What are we
chocolate
talking about
strawberry.
We're
tonight?
talking
I
about
think we're talking about ice cream.
we're talking about random recurring mistreatment.
Yeah.
That is all too common. It's random because it's not intended, but because we're trying to design and MC events,
Right.
we think that's the business we're in.
Yeah.
But when in fact our ministry would argue you're in the people development business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the most important people for you to develop is you.
Yeah, so when we talk about these random reoccurring woundings,
Yep.
Yeah.
it's the inability to keep short accounts and actually love well the leaders on the team.
What do you mean by short accounts?
Short accounts means that if I'm troubled or upset or feel like I've been
Slighted.
discounted, disrespected, misunderstood, I don't let that build up over time. I don't give you a pass to, from my perspective, insult or abuse me. I want to correct whatever's in our way so that I can honor you relationally. And it's amazing, is it not, in interpersonal relationships,
Oh, yeah.
when we honor one another well, which is a form of love, then we can work through most, if not all, of the trouble areas of conflict.
Happens all the
That's
time
what-
on our team where a teammate will say, "Hey, did I offend you?" Or
Right.
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah,
checking in.
Checking in-
and
checking
that's
in.
that short account
Because
thing.
it's
That's
Yeah.
short accounts.
right. Because healthy, at least in our team culture, isn't perfect.
That's right.
And it isn't peaceful. You know, it's real and it's present.
Yeah.
And I would say that as soon as any of us recognize that we have missed it, we're really quick
That's it.
to pursue a repair.
Yeah.
That's a short account.
repair attempt.
That's
I
really
mean,
good.
You know, what does the Bible say, right? Like, if you think you may have wronged your brother, leave your sacrifice at the
go- at the
temple.
altar.
Don't
Yeah,
offer it.
right.
Don't offer it, and go and reconcile.
Or don't let
Yeah.
the sun go down in your anger.
Yeah.
Or-
Yes.
I mean, there's a lot of
That's
scripture.
right.
Yep,
That's right.
yeah.
So that's kind of what we're talking about. It's not that you walk in a sinless perfection, that you never get cross with one another, sideways with each other. But it's like, man, we don't want to let that linger, even.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
if
it's
we
good.
can, even for a matter of minutes.
Yeah, and here's another example. So we're working with planning or scheduling parts of the building, and I get something scheduled, and I know I've encroached on another leader's event or something like that. And rather than go and clear that up right away, I actually know down the road they're going to discover it, but I don't care enough to rectify or address it when I first heard about it or first understood there's a problem.
Yeah.
So they're blindsided, but I'm okay because I get what I wanted when I want it.
Yeah.
You see, that's what we're talking about.
That's mutual mistreatment.
That's mutual mistreatment. And says
If you mistreat me, then I'm gonna wait for a chance to mistreat you back.
it's a human thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and we fight over budget dollars. We're scared. We're threatened. So that's what we mean by turfism and the mutual mistreatment.
Yeah.
I think part of so flip the coin. What we're encouraging is the cultivation of something as old and as new as the golden rule. How would I want to be treated?
Yeah.
So we build a culture with the expectation that we're going to treat others the way we'd like to be treated.
So you're saying a high EQ culture can be defined by being observed from the outside to practice the golden rule. That's one
That's
of
as
the
easy.
key
That's
identifier
an
for you.
easy way for me to keep it in my mind.
Yeah. It's powerful. That's simple.
It is.
Feels complicated.
Yeah.
Like
Well, here,
when
let-
you say create a high EQ culture, I'm like crunching
Yeah.
the numbers. I don't
Yeah,
know
what does
what to
that
do.
mean,
You know,
That's right.
But that,
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you mind reading that Goldman
Oh,
quote? Because I think that'll make something simple as the golden rule complicated.
So again, well, we know how to do that.
We do.
We know how to do that.
We do.
We have a long
Pure
history
skill.
as a team doing that.
Take a simple
Yeah,
and make
so-
it inscrutable.
Yeah. So our customers and clients really need us, you know.
Now, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Interpret.
So again, just teeing it up, Daniel Goleman is kind of this psychologist and kind of the father of this whole EQ movement back in the 1990s. All right. So he says, if your emotional abilities aren't in hand, and if you don't have self-awareness, if you're not able to manage your distressing emotions, if you can't have empathy and have effective relationships, then no matter how smart you are, you're not going to get very far.
Wow.
And we could interpret that to mean no matter how gifted you are in the pulpit, and I think
Yeah.
Kirk was talking about this,
Right.
no matter how big or effective you think you are in your student ministry, or any of those qualifiers that seem to say we're successful.
Yeah.
If we're really poor at interpersonal relationships and we have no understanding of the quality or characteristics to build safety and healthy team cultures, high IQ,
Yeah.
then something is seriously missing in our discipleship and our overall relationships. There's something lacking.
Yeah, I gotta say, I mean, it's really sad. Like, I've seen it, I'm sure you guys have seen it, which is why we're talking about this. But how many times, like, I've had front row seat to really gifted leaders
Yeah.
who just sabotage
Yeah.
their own effectiveness
Yeah.
and the trust that they could have.
Yeah.
That even their talents and their skills and abilities would kind of help them cultivate, because people like that. They're like, oh, he's good at that, I can trust that, you know.
Yeah.
whatever. But the EQ thing just steamrolls it or blows a hole out the back of it, or
Gosh, it's a bummer.
So Nick, when I was pastoring the church for 15 years in the suburbs of Atlanta, I remember Becky saying about a church conference or a business meeting or whatever churches do to do governance and make decisions as a body. She said to me one time, she said, David, you know how to get what you want, but you don't want people walking out into the parking lot after the meeting and cursing you. And I mean, to your point, we're talking about leaders who don't care enough about EQ or the relationships, but
Yeah.
overemphasize tasks. We've got to get the mission accomplished, or the
event,
vision.
you gotta run the
We've
event,
got to have
fill
excellence.
the room. Yeah.
Well, some of that is veiled language for power, ego, control. Again, where's it coming from? But we're trying to emphasize that there's awareness of how others are experiencing you, how you're treating
Right.
other people and what you're modeling.
Right.
Right.
I don't see Jesus, just driving and commanding and pushing people
Yeah.
so the kingdom could come. Most of what I see in Jesus is an invitation for people to come closer to him.
Wow.
And then he would challenge them to progress, to
Yeah.
go farther.
Right.
And so I think that's a pretty good rule of thumb for us. So real quickly, let's describe a healthy environment.
Can I
Yeah.
say, there's something on my mind that you're just saying.
Yeah.
Me too. Yeah.
Good.
The key in mind, real quick.
Good.
This is weird. Go with me for a minute. Imagine you have two Jesuses. Saying two Jesuses.
Okay, we're gonna end the episode here.
We lost half the audience by heresy because of her.
Oh no. Go.
All right, hang with me.
The baby Jesus.
two Jesuses in relationship, and the way they relate
Yeah.
because of what they're bringing to the moment just works. But imagine you've got two of those kinds of leaders who just believe that it's about driving the task and doing the thing.
Yeah.
We all know those two people will never ever work together.
Right.
And so how can you believe that is the route to go with other people?
Yeah.
Right? It just feels like the math doesn't add up. Right? It just, if you were to do that, which I don't think I've thought about it in that way, but it's almost like the assumption is, well, one person gets to be that way.
Yeah.
And everybody else can't. Everybody else,
Oh yeah, the nice guy on the staff. There's the people person or whatever.
Yeah,
But they're-
But the other, maybe there's a group of staff members that are other than that. Producers.
Right.
Task oriented. And it's interesting too, because often we'll excuse what we are not.
Yeah.
So let's say I'm highly driven and task oriented as a personality, or as a way I've been trained, or what I value,
What you're good at.
or what I'm good at.
Yeah.
And so if I'm not strong relationally with people, it's easy for me to overlook the importance of honoring and slowing down and listening and inviting people to discover, because I'm impatient. I'm insecure. I can be. It doesn't mean everybody is. It just means the downside is the character quality that makes it hard for people to come alongside me,
Right.
and it makes it hard for them to feel like they can enter in and participate.
Yeah.
Because I'm driven. Often. Or the reverse of that.
Right.
If I'm relational, let's feel good, but we don't ever get the kingdom done.
Right.
And John, I'll come right back to you.
Yeah.
But in church life, it seems like you have to be one way or the other. We can't have healthy relationships and get stuff done.
Right. It's
Right.
either or almost.
And
right?
I think we're trying to invite leaders to say, well, what if both matter,
Yeah.
and we can grow in what we're not as strong.
Yeah.
So what were you going to say?
I think it's interesting. There's lots of conversation in the Christian world right now about how, for one reason or another, we have formed a culture that emphasizes gifting over character, right? Like we're just looking for somebody who has the gifts to make the event right. And the interesting thing is, we could swing and say, like, well, who cares about gifting? We just want character.
Yeah.
And that's to your point. Actually, spiritual gifts are like given from God. If you have a teaching gift, if you have a pastoring gift, like it's from God for the body, right? And I don't think I'm hearing you guys say you're devaluing it. And back to your original question, what's a high EQ team look like?
Right.
I think, it's not that the gifts that we have aren't important and needed and should be used and invested, Parable of the talents. It's just that they're actually not the most important thing. Loving people is the most important thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
I told you about I've shared you guys a story before when I was flying to Chicago for a consult, and the very last phone interview I had as I was on the road to the airport, upended all 15 conversations I had previously about what was the nature of the conflict and what I was stepping into. What I had designed 3 days of consulting with this church staff and elder board, to help them work through stuff, because I had a really clear picture of what it was going to be, until that last phone call blew the whole thing up. I'm sitting on the plane on my way to Chicago, and I'm halfway there and I have no idea.
Well, what the phone call?
Oh, just
how did it
the
blow it
phone
up?
call was everything you've been told was a lie.
Oh,
And
okay, that'll
yeah,
blow it up.
and the relationships here are so much more broken than you've been led to believe.
Oh, man.
And we're way past reconciliation. This thing is a complete dumpster fire. You were told there was a matchbook, laying in the sidewalk. No, like that. So it was of that kind of magnitude.
Yeah.
But here's the point. I'm on the plane. I'm going, God, what am I going to do? How am I going to do this?
Yeah.
What are we going to do this weekend?
Yeah.
How's this going to play out? I'm asking 2 questions, what and how. Every church is asking, what are we supposed to do? How are we supposed to do this? Right?
Yeah.
And God said to me on that plane, you're asking the wrong question, Kirk. The question is who before what and how.
Wow.
I'm like, huh? Who are you going to be?
who are you
Going to be? Who am I going to be? Who is the elders going to be? Who's the staff going to be? Who are the players going to be? How are we going to carry ourselves? Who are we going to be as we walk together into the unknown?
I love that.
And God rescued that whole scenario that weekend.
That's awesome.
Because guess what we talked about all weekend?
Who are you going to be?
Who?
Yeah.
Who are we going to commit to be? How are we going to carry ourselves? How are we going to treat one another?
It's big.
Like that.
It's big.
So I think we want to say, in conclusion, that if we will keep our eyes primarily on the who and on the way we are with one another, to prioritize relationship even over results, we will please Jesus and have joy and delight with one another.
Just reminds me of, they will know you are Christians by your love for one another.
Wow.
Yeah, not by your great meetings.
Right. Not by not even by your production, but your production is how you love.
Wow.
That's
and
what,
so
Well, that's the thing that society is aching for,
yeah.
is genuine love.
Yeah.
Not some pseudo.
And the church too.
And if great, healthy, high EQ cultures are going to be crafted or built, who's going to build those? We're going to contend that it's leaders who are in process, who want something else. We just think the leaders are the culture architects.
Yeah.
And so the health of the leader governs or shapes the health of the team culture or the organizational culture.
Yeah, I'd say it this way, bro.
Yeah.
Nobody influences the culture of your organization more than the senior leader.
Yeah. It's good. It's good.
How about a blessing?
Yeah. We bless you as great leaders and influencers of people who want what God wants for them. The Apostle Paul said, "Follow me because I'm following Christ." And with that, we typically think of it just, okay, Paul's out there ahead of us, we're going to be like him. But I think it's like him in responses and in temperament and in attitude and reaction, response. So we bless you with the full authority Christ has given you to become the leaders he's designed you to be, in Jesus' name.